Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the King Leo Show. Is our audio pre-show as usual? How's everyone doing tonight? Make sure the audio's okay. How's everyone doing? I see J Boss is here. How you doing, my Portuguese brother? Let me check here real quick. The audio's okay. Sure, it's all good. Good evening, everyone. Perfect. Audio's perfect. How are you? How is everyone doing? Welcome, sir. Glad you're rested. How are you doing? Yeah, man, dude. I mean, it's a pre-show, so we can talk about whatever we want. I saw that they, in Spain, they started to regularize 500,000. It was the whole royal decree thing where they're starting to legitimize 500,000 illegal immigrants. And it's interesting because I've been trolling Spanish people on Twitter all day. It's funny, like, to trigger Spaniards on Twitter. They seem to be very angry about it, but they're kind of presenting this misleading thing where they're painting them all as African. But it seems like most of them are from Venezuela, Colombia, and Honduras. I asked Gemini, was like, yeah, 93% are Hispanic. So they were going to get residency if they had come back legally anyway, because they just overstayed their visas. It's not like people that came over in boats. And of course, there are going to be some boat people as well. Yeah. Okay, CJ Boss. Yeah, I'm doing great, sir. I'm doing great. I'm glad you're doing good. Yeah, they say that for effect, but is full of obstacles and does not apply as a blanket to. That's what I was researching. I was like, dude, this doesn't seem to be as big a deal as people are making it to be. Where, it's, listen, I understand maybe that Spanish people don't want Latinos there to an extent. But it wasn't that the point of the empire in some ways, that when population is declining, you have people they can reliably use. And I assume most people in Spain that are over there, it's going to be, of course, Latin Americans, but they're going to integrate. Like, they're going to be fine. You're not going to get some, like, Quechua speaking guy over there who only speaks Quechua or something, or like only Mayan speaker. They would only immigrate there if they were Hispanic in culture as well. They talk about it while showing videos of Africans. Most Africans do not qualify. That's what I'm saying. It honestly is not a big deal. It's from more a different replacement from this Arrigo visa. Not really blanket at all. I don't know that visa, man. I don't know it. I'm glad to get confirmation, dude, because they kept getting angry at me. And I was like, dude, I don't think that's a big deal. Is a Spanish residency authorization under exceptional circumstances for non-EU foreigners who have built social. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Allowing them to live and work. That's the thing. They're work visas too. And my understanding is that a lot of these people work in agriculture and menial work. I assume like DoorDash and shit. Venezuelans do a lot of DoorDash no matter. I was a doctor in my country. So I'm like, can you really, I understand. Maybe some people are like thinking it's scary or something, but it's not like it's 500,000 Senegalese guys. Like, it's not the same thing, I don't know. I'm glad that you could confirm it, man. Arriago Midas is for those who fell through and are outside of a valid visa. Okay. And even the concern of inter-European travel because of the Schengen, they can't do it for the Latin Americans, because this was always going to happen. If you come in legally as a Latin American, after 2 or 3 years, you can get residency and then you're Schengen eligible. But even these guys, they're going to have to start over and wait the 2 years before they can Schengen it. They can't really leave Spain, is my understanding, for those 2 years. So I'm like, what? And even if they could, I don't think that Colombians are going to be a huge issue in Iceland or something, or Norway, or France. I don't even think a lot of these people want to go to these other countries. Latinos, they would go to Spain because they don't want to learn another language. How you doing, CCTV? In 2026, we almost expect foreign leaders to speak English. No more Spanish. I don't get your thing, CCTV, with Spanish, man. I really don't get it. I was wondering, is it like you're against Ladino or something? I know that's like a dialect of Spanish that some Israelis, no, not Israelis, like some Hebrews and is that what some Jewish people in Argentina came up with? I don't understand it, man. J-Boss says, presented as a scary thing. In reality, it's not, right? Yeah, I'm glad to hear, man, because I'm like, even the strain on social services, which I'm sure this is going to have some sort of effect on it because of the amount of people. I mean, dude, like Spain has been broke. Like they need people to work to contribute to this, right? They need actual tax dollars. It's one of those things where like you sound like Tony Blair or like a neolib, and you're like, yeah, but they kind of do need them, and it's the best situation, right? It's like you can pull on people that already understand the culture, like they grew up on it. So I'm glad to have the confirmation, dude. These guys were so mad at me. They're like, we hate the immigrants. I'm like, all right, dude. Good luck with that. It's not gonna. It's not. I just think it's silly. Let me see if we gotta get our board right. There we go. Our board's right. All right. It's almost 10 o'clock. It's almost 10 o'clock. Time to start the show. I'm glad to hear that, man. And CCTV, feel free to expand on that. I was really like, dude, I don't think it's such a big deal, but you know, they're like, oh, yeah, it's a huge deal actually. All right. People are crazy. People are crazy. All right. It's 10 o'clock. Welcome to the King Leo Show, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and fellas. Tonight we have a pretty interesting night. We're going to be talking about Erika Kirk, who we haven't talked about in a long time. If you recall, myself, I was the one who called Erika Kirk the evil woman like a week after Charlie Kirk died. I saw it from the beginning. Then as time went on, I started saying, you know, that Erika was, you know, maybe she was just grifting. You know, it's not really her fault. You can't blame her. She's got to feed her kids or whatever. And people overreacted. Partially, I will admit, there's some contrarianism in me, which is like, when I said it, everyone hated me for saying it. You can check the YouTube video I made. And the comments, if you filter by newest, you'll see the early ones were just all negative, like, you're a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. And then later on, people went back and they were like, you're right, Erika was evil. And I'm like, now that you're agreeing with me, I must disagree. But no, I really was like, oh, Erika Kirk, you know, she has to keep this grift going. She has to keep this organization going. And this isn't slop, what we're covering here, because I think it's important. I think that she may have blown up this organization of TPUSA. It's the beginning of the end of this thing. And this is important because in electoral politics, it mattered a lot in the last election in the United States. I mean, this is the best way. TPUSA is legalized pedophilia. And I'm not saying because they're getting with the kids or anything. I'm just saying you get the kids while they're young, right? That is what TPUSA is, which is fine. You know, it's that's how it works in politics. You get them while they're young. The left does it. The right does it. It's fine. But it's levels of cringe that I think are too much, especially for the generation that would be here, which is the Gen Alpha's coming up, but the Zoomers as well, which are the ones who could have held the torch for Charlie Kirk. I think they're over the event. I think everyone recognizes that the whole, and rest in peace, I feel like we're the only people who mourned him on the internet. Us and Candace Owens, we actually felt bad on this channel. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Didn't like you, but I did not like to see it end that way. Thought it was messed up. However, now, you know, people don't understand that the Zoomer is the most postmodern Baudrillardian, check in, person in the world. Dude, it's a trend. It was a trend to be on the Charlie Kirk train. And to, you know, and now when they tell you, we're going to fight for Charlie, it's like, Charlie? Shit, man. Who are you talking about? I don't even remember who that is. What? You know, so I really think she was not able to keep the energy. And if Trumpism is to remain, they needed this. So interesting stuff. Thank you, J-Boss. I'm surprised that that's when you found it. Iron Hammer, how you doing, sir? I knew it was, ever since I heard her whispering like Biden. That man. I forgive him. That was crazy, dude. That's a crazy bitch, man. How you doing, Eve? Just call Erika the Antichrist in the video equals masterpiece. Dude, back then, they were so mad in the comments. It was hilarious. Very funny to see. I love trading conservatives. All right, let's get into the show. Before we do that, if you're new here, like, comment, and subscribe. Consider joining our Patreon. Here is our Patreon. Here where it is $5 or $20 a month. You get an episode a week. Well, right now, 2 episodes because we're going through the whole history of cinema. A week where we cover movies for the King Leo Movie Club. And I need to do something else on here, man. You can also DM me on here. I've been talking to Ringo Lamb on here. I need to get back to him. It's just hard, man. It's hard. I don't get notifications for Instagram or Patreon on my phone for some reason. And I don't know how to fix it because I'm a boomer when it comes to that. But I'll get back to you, Ringo Lamb. I know you watch the show, sir. All right. We also have, of course, the Discord server, which I need to get back into as well. I do get notifications for this. But please be mindful. I am not intelligent. I am not very smart. I don't respond because I'm stupid.
Because I'm fucking stupid.
I'll be in there. Give me a second, all right? And we also have the What Would a Postmodernist Do parody bracelet available at the coffee link in the description. How is everyone doing tonight, man? Welcome to the King Leo Show. I think we're kind of getting here. How's King of Ausland? How are you doing? All right, listen. I don't want to hear I didn't like Charlie either. I thought Charlie was a very untalented and annoying person. However, this is not about him. Let's let the man rest, all right? Let the man rest. We're already going to mess with him tonight with this whole stuff. So let's watch it here. All right, let's get into the show. All right, everyone, for Schizo Watch, we have to start, and it's not me milking this stuff, dude, but for Schizo Watch, I've started to get a lot of insanity on the timeline that is certifiably crazy. And I'm not talking funny, I'm talking crazy. And of course, the first man we have to go to is Glenn Beck. Now, how you doing, Audio Vibes? I don't like Glenn Beck. You guys know I don't like Glenn Beck. He's not my type of guy, okay? Charlie Kirk could be alive. That's true. Absolutely. He could be in Guantanamo. Anyway, Glenn Beck. We have to listen to Glenn Beck because Glenn Beck here does something very interesting where a lot of people, and my producer included, said that this is like boomerism, but I don't even think it's boomerism. I think there is some aspect of boomerism here, but this is very important because it presents to you the conservative mind as well. Let's watch what Glenn Beck here has to say about living in Idaho, of all places. This is very, very interesting. And I think it's especially good to follow up after what we watched with Zoran last night, taxing unused second homes.
You know why I'm not a full-time resident of Idaho? I have a beautiful house in Idaho. We use it for vacation and, for the end of the world apocalypse. And I have a house in Idaho. The reason why I don't live in Idaho full-time, because I would live in Idaho. Well, my wife wouldn't. She thinks snow is a bigger deal. But I think the biggest deal is that when I went to speak to some of the Republicans up in the House and the Senate in Idaho, and I was going to go up and help them raise money, one of the leaders came up to me, a Republican came up to me and said, "Have you moved here?" And I said, "We're thinking about it." And he said, and this is a quote, "We hope you do because we want to add you to the tax base." And I said, "You know what? You've guaranteed that I will never move to Idaho."
There's a lot to digest here. There's a lot to digest. This is fascinating. CCTV says he looks like the Twitch CEO. That's true. That is true. This really struck me, okay? Because Glenn Beck is supposed to be a patriot.
Patriot.
Absolute patriot.
Patriot.
Okay, a nationalist.
Nationalist.
I don't understand conservatives anymore. I never did, but I really don't understand this. Look, in this video, Glenn Beck is telling you about his 10th home, okay? His 10th house in Idaho. He has 10 houses everywhere. Now look, Glenn Beck is incredibly rich. Glenn Beck is so rich that he owns the original shoes from The Wizard of Oz, which I heard he actually wears when he's hanging out with Benny Johnson for some reason. I don't know if that's true. I just heard it.
You can't do it. It's disgusting.
Okay. But Glenn Beck is here telling us about his 10th house, the 10th house he has in Idaho. Now, listen, I'm not from Idaho. I'm not very interested in going to Idaho personally. No problem with that. It just doesn't strike me as a place that I would really enjoy. I want to go to Montana. I want to go to Whitefish to hang out with the great Richard Spencer. No. My favorite liberal. Honestly, my favorite liberal. But no, look, we have here Glenn Beck bragging to us about his 10th house in Idaho. Now, before we do that, he's a very rich man. I don't understand how it works. And my producer told me that this is probably how it works. Why do you own a second home, a third home, a fourth home? I really don't get it unless you're renting it out. And the reason I don't is because if I were a billionaire, I would like to rent some decked out cool shit every time I would go somewhere. Why would I want to own something? But what he tells me is that it's a rounding error for them, so they might as well, and they like consistency. I think that's a bit silly, personally. I really do think it's silly. I don't get it. I don't get it, dude. And I don't know if it's because the places where I would like to buy a home, like for example, in theory, I would like to buy a home in Italy or in Chile or, not within the U.S. In the U.S., if I were to buy a home, it'd be like in Florida, If you're buying a home right now, you might as well be in Guantanamo, by the way, okay? You are being tortured if you buy a home right now.
Do you waterboard him? Do you sleep deprive him? Do you put him in a cold cell? Do you beat him? Do you put cockroaches on him? Do you put hummus up his ass?
I think that you are an actual, dude, you're buying a home at 5% right now with these prices. All right, go have fun with that. Let's see how that works out. But whatever. What I don't understand about the conservative is they want to own a home somewhere, enjoy the fruits of that place. How you doing, Spring? But they don't want to pay into it. And this is so alien to me because even in Europe, right, which has a right wing, it's not conservative like this. Rich right-wing people and left-wing people in Europe tend to own two homes, from my understanding. Okay, I've seen it with friends that I have. I have fashion friends. They have the country estate and the city apartment. That's it. They don't really buy anything else. When they travel, they use a rented apartment that's very nice because they don't live in Paris. They live in Turin or they live in Milan and they vacation in Parma. Now, in America, it's the only place where you do not want to pay taxes, yet you do want to enjoy the place. And I'm not even speaking at this like as some liberal cuck or anything like, oh, taxes, we all have to pay our fair share. I'm just saying, I don't understand this because this really proves Obama right.
You didn't build that.
You did not build Idaho, yet you are not willing to invest in it, but you get to use it. And I don't think, this is why my producer was saying it's a boomer thing, that any generation before the boomer really had this kind of attitude. Boomers are like the first ones, because I've seen it in Florida, the first generation of people that they tried to vote to stop paying property taxes to fund schools because they said we don't use the school resources anymore. Now, look, I hate school. I hate public school. But in theory, you're supposed to pay the taxes so that the next generation can be educated so they can keep the country going. So why wouldn't you pay the taxes? So it's kind of like this expectation that society is supposed to move on without any financial contribution from these people. And I'm not saying the government would be good at it, but to get this offended to say, I do not want to live here out of spite only because I don't want to pay taxes. It's like, hot damn, dude. Well, first of all, get a better accountant. But secondly, do you like Idaho or do you not? And lastly, I would say, Glenn Beck, who is a big fan of AI George Washington, we've seen him talk to AI George Washington. I think his AI George Washington must be broken because I seem to remember that in the early days of the American country, of the American experiment, whatever you want to call it, there were several tax rebellions, including the Whiskey Rebellion, and I think Bacon's Rebellion, and they were all based on taxes. And you know what George Washington did when they did that? He killed everyone. He went over there and murdered everyone that didn't want to pay taxes on whiskey or something because he said, we have a country to run. We need to collect revenue. How you doing, Mr. Malloy? How you doing, Robert? Appreciate the super chat, sir. I'm going to put something special on the Chiron for you, sir. I just need to vibe code it because this is one of our top contributors, man. If you got it, flaunt it. That is true. But that's the thing, right? Robert, I agree with you. If you have it, right? If you have this home in Idaho and it's beautiful, you're right. And you can afford to live there. You're so rich that you own the Wizard of Oz shoes. Why don't you just move there? You're like, fuck it, dude. I like this place. I will pay the taxes. If I were a billionaire, you know where I would live? Marin County, California. I would live there because it's so beautiful. I don't even mind paying the taxes if I'm a billionaire. If I'm rich, if I can afford it, if it's a blip on my radar, if a house in another state is a blip on your radar, how is paying the taxes to be there not? That is part of the flex. It's I can pay them. Fuck you. That is. But no, what they want to do, and this is why I don't understand what the hatred that Zoran got. There's been more and more hatred for it online. If you don't live in that house and you're not renting it out or using it productively, and you don't even want to integrate into the state system to pay taxes at all, but you want to enjoy it, then you should be taxed more for that house because it's not a productive asset. It's not providing anything to anyone. And I'm not talking like some commie stuff. I'm just saying, how can you own a house and you're not doing anything with it? You can't do that. It's not allowed. So I need him to get AI George Washington on this, dude. I don't think AI George Washington is going to agree with him, dude. This guy needs to shut up.
Shut up, man. Man, listen. You ain't got to say.
The boomer Dave Smith over here. The boomer Dave Smith. All right, let's move on. That's crazy. I saw this, and this guy gets crazier and crazier by the year. Thank you again for the super chat, Robert. Let's get some air horns again. Robert, one of the greatest. Spring says the reason that Beck doesn't want to pay taxes because it's against his lack of principles. It's against his lack of principles? What do you mean by that, Spring? I can kind of understand what you're saying, but you remember, I'm Latino and slow, as Jesse Lee Peterson says. Explain it to me a little bit more detail, but it's like there's no principles. I do get it. Also, Glenn Beck is a multimillionaire. He can probably, especially at this rate, take $1 million and park it in 5% treasuries. That's $50,000 a year. I'm sure that will cover every tax in Idaho. It will cover, and you just have to leave that there for the next 10 years. Eve says, like the super wealthy you were talking about last night. Yes, absolutely, Eves. It's not even about the amount of money, right? I'm not like telling you, oh, it's too much money, you need to take it away. But if you're going to own a house and it's empty, then what is the point of owning the house? I don't know. And this is the white man's law, actually. This is the child of Yakub's law. This is not me being a Latino Roman law. In common law, adverse possession exists. This doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. And Spring says, play on the phrase against his principle. Gotcha, sir. Spring always has the best puns. He really has the best puns. The reason that Beck doesn't want to pay taxes is because it's against his lack of principles. The one that I came up with watching a movie, I think it was called Cane River a few years ago. I was like, I did a play on words. It's even hard to remember because of the play on words where I was like, lesser men have done more with less. Instead of greater men have done more with less. All right, let's continue here. Let's check in on the genius who is Andrew Schultz, who still needs to comment. Erie is talking about the DoorDash grandma we addressed yesterday.
Why would you bring a grandma that needs to work DoorDash?
Because they're talking about taxation on tips.
Yeah, but pause it for a second. Don't we want to live in a country where grandmas don't have to work DoorDash? Where grandmas get to be retired, and there's a retirement fund that takes what kind of delusional reality are we living in where he's parading around the grandma that's working DoorDash so she can afford to pay her husband's cancer bills, and he's like, see, we're not doing tips. There's a whole other issue at hand here that we need to be focused on.
The first question, it's going to be the usual. You know what I'm going to say here? This is sensational.
Sensational.
Absolutely sensational. This is a patriot right here. You voted for this. You had it happen. And now you're complaining. Whatever. Putting that aside. Andrew Schultz, why is he talking black? And then in this clip, because he does it all the time where yeah, man, I'm a brother, man. He'll talk like that. And I'm not being racist, okay?
Again, I don't want to get all racist or whatever, but
we have to recognize African Americans have a particular vernacular, and I find it admirable. I like AAV. It's interesting. Andrew Schultz literally started the clip speaking like a black man. Listen in real carefully again.
Why would you bring a grandma that needs to work DoorDash?
Why would you bring a grandma that needs to work DoorDash? And now he turns white.
Because they're talking about taxation on tips.
Yeah, but
pause
it for a second.
Pause it for a second.
Don't we want to live in a country where grandmas don't have
And now he's white. This is some sort of Michael Jackson vocal cords thing where he's How does he get away with this? Because, when AOC does it, they're like, she's code switching, she's cooning, she's a coon.
Oh, coons, we want to have fun. Oh, coons, we want to have fun.
But I understand AOC because of course she's cooning. Absolutely. She's cooning. But she is Puerto Rican by descent. So she gets to switch into the, what's her name? Rosie Perez. What y'all talking about? I'm Rosie Perez. She gets to do that. But Andrew Schultz is white. So why does he get to code switch into being black? If it were a black guy, if Andrew Schultz were a black man, got it. Imagine how much better the world would be if Andrew Schultz were black. Black Andrew Schultz voted for Kamala Harris. Like, black Andrew Schultz is the smart version of Andrew Schultz. Anyway, if he were black Andrew Schultz, he could code switch into talking white. You know, we all know. Listen, man, we all know the white voice. I can do the white voice. Well, of course, yes, we have our place in the Northeast where, you know, it's a very white neighborhood. We are up there and we eat our beautiful clam chowder. And everyone can do the white voice, the Yakubian voice. But how does he, of all people, get away with this? You know, as a Bajalardian, I can't abide by this. He should code switch into being Chinese, too. He should do a Chinese accent from time to time. This is crazy stuff, man. This is crazy stuff. Is that true, CCTV? CCTV might be trolling. Let me check. Did the Pope's citizenship get revoked? There's no way they did that, man. Pope citizenship. No, dude, he's still a citizen. He's still a citizen. All right. But yeah, and as far as the other thing, Andrew Schultz, tried to say, I didn't vote for grandma to be doing DoorDash. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You could have interrogated any policy. You had him on for 2.5 hours. You could have asked, do we really have to get through the whole rigmarole here, man? Like, I said, yeah, Andrew Schultz, old people can't eat now. That's true. They cannot eat because of what you did on your podcast. Old people are like this.
I can't eat. I'm broke, nigga. I'm broke.
So they have to do DoorDash, okay? There's no pensions. There's no deferred contribution plans that worked. It's over, all right? So let's just move on. All right, let's continue. Let's get over here to Laura Bulber because everyone's having a great time. I'm actually feeling pretty bad for Eric Swalwell, despite the fact that Eric Swalwell molested me personally. I still need to call Janine Pirro and let her know about the time Eric Swalwell molested me with Benny Johnson and Glenn Beck wearing the shoes. However, he is I don't understand how this works. I really don't. I almost admire it. I do like it where Republicans, look, man, the Brett Kavanaugh thing was weird, right? I remember Molly Hemingway, of all people. Where's Molly? Back when they were railroading, raking him over the coals, Brett Kavanaugh, Donald Trump, they're like, Donald Trump raped me in the bathroom of a McDonald's in 1976. They would go, there's no way that happened. These assholes are trying to take down the president.
These fucking assholes. The fuck is their problem, man?
But now, it seems that they are all Me Too warriors. I saw today a congressman, Hawley, said he wants to take Eric Swalwell's pension away because he might have gotten a little frisky. Maybe he did some raping. What's crazy to me is I will never forget, because I thought it was really funny at the time. I still think it's pretty funny. That Trump speech where he was like, they're sending drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some of them, I'm sure, are good people. And, you appreciated that if you're white because you're like, I hate Mexicans or something. But over here, we're like, dude, I didn't know that Donald Trump hated Mexicans as much as Venezuelans. Not, I'm kidding. I love the Mexicans. Great people. I didn't know they hated. Dude, it's always funny when you see that. You'll also find it on English Twitter. Whenever someone's like, I hate these Indians, like some Anglo, you'll see Pakistanis in there being like, yes, brother, we hate the Indians. He's like, I thought you were Indian. It's just. Anyway. What was I saying? What was I saying with this? All right. Trump, the They defended him when he was getting accused of rape, of grabbing them by the pussy, of all of this. In fact, I even remember conservatives saying Me Too went too far. Free my boy Bill Cosby. He was actually innocent. If you don't believe me, watch Trigonometry. They proved it. If you want to get real crazy, there's a guy, I forget his name, who's autistic, and he says Jerry Sandusky was innocent too. I don't know if that's true or not, but interesting theory. All right. Harvey Weinstein, definitely guilty, but the movies have not gotten good since he left office. And he did leave office in some sense, okay? So, what's going on here is that now the Me Too warriors are the Republicans. Let's see what Lauren Boebert had to say here about Eric Swalwell.
Yeah, go to church, find Jesus. Like, I mean, why is everybody so horny here?
Now, a lot of you might say, you know, this is disgusting. Why is Lauren Boebert wearing the Mia Khalifa glasses and telling us to go to church because we're too horny?
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
I don't have a problem with Lauren Boebert saying this, actually. Look, I the problem I have is that it seems like the only horny people left in America are working in Congress. Everywhere else is a sexless society. Maybe it's J6 that happened. You know, when they broke into Congress, it made them live for today, not tomorrow. Nancy Pelosi, that snatch is hot. It's wet. It's warm. Nancy Pelosi's ready to get fucked. You know, like because she's like, I almost died that day. That's why they're horny. Maybe we all need a January 6th to happen to us so that we can become horny again. Get the TFR up. However, the other issue people have with it, and I had to look it up, but someone posted it here, is Lauren Boebert is the congresswoman who got fingered watching Hamilton. If you don't remember this was Lauren Boebert with her boyfriend getting fondled and fingered while she was grabbing him as well. Now, some of you, when you were teenagers, might have gotten a little frisky in the movie theater, but this is at the real theater. This is Lauren Boebert giving a little bit of a hand, like in middle school, some hand job over here in the theater. Now, look, there's nothing against that, you know. Sometimes I go watch Waiting for Godot and I get a little hot and bothered, you know. But did she find Jesus after this, before this? Lauren, I know you're horny, Lauren. Don't act like I bet Lauren and Swalwell were secret. They were secretly together. Just, you know, she has to do this now, obviously, because she can't stand by her man like this. She's not Hillary Clinton. She thinks she's Hillary Clinton. All right, perfect. However, there you see it, okay? This is the problem. Poor Lauren Boebert, man. Poor Lauren Boebert. Even she's ashamed of her horniness. If we were all more unashamed of horniness, it would be a better world. How you doing? I hate everything. Don't forget Bill Clinton. He's always horny. Absolutely. And that horny president got us NAFTA. Let's continue. I needed to show you this here. This is Scott Bessent, the man who lives in a pink house, our Treasury Secretary, of all people, who is he's taking a cue from Karl Marx in the most beautiful way possible. You're going to be crying like a baby hearing this, okay?
That's right, Ron.
This is a modified class consciousness that I've never heard, okay? This is, if it were Joseph Stalin who said it, I might even respect it. But it's the man in the pink house. Let's see what he has to say here, all right?
Why aren't we seeing this sentiment? Why are people feeling better?
Well, I when I was in the investment business, there are consumer surveys but I used to look at what are the people really doing. So at Treasury, we have loads of CEOs come through, whether they're in retail, credit card, the banks, and the consumer, while they may be sounding grim, is actually quite buoyant. So we are seeing spending has been very solid across most categories.
So they might not feel good, but...
Well, look, in their heart of hearts, they feel good. I'm not sure what they're telling the survey people.
Why aren't we seeing this sentiment?
Did you hear that? The economy. In your heart of hearts, you actually feel good about it. This is, you know, when Marxists speak of class consciousness, you know, that there is no class consciousness, the lumpen, you know, this is lumpen. You are a lumpen neoliberal. The economy, if you search deep inside of you, you know that the economy is a beautiful thing, man. If the economy, it's not out there, it's in here. And I love this because it reminds me of, I've talked about them before. My favorite dissident group of the Cold War was called the East German Drunkard Society. This group of 30 guys who one day decided in the 80s, the GDR, the Soviet Union, it only exists in my head. I need to go get drunk. And they just got drunk and they tried to put them in jail. But they said, what is the crime? Enjoying a succulent German beer? What is the problem? And they are the reason the wall actually fell. But they won't tell you that in school. Search inside of the heart of your heart, and you will know that the economy is good. I love it. I love what we're getting here. This is Baudrillardianism. Oh, have we ever been more vindicated, folks? Now here, we have to get to, this is one of my favorite things that happened today. Let's listen to Pete Hegseth quoting one of the greatest Bible verses of all time.
So the prayer is Caesar 25:17, and it reads, and pray with me, please.
The path
of the downed aviator is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of camaraderie and duty shepherd the lost through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to capture and destroy my brother. And you will know my call sign is Sandy 1 when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
So the prayer is Caesar 25:7.
Sensational.
First of all, we have to say this. The Academy Awards make a lot of mistakes. The Oscars make mistakes. They didn't make a mistake with this one. I think Quentin Tarantino may be the most impactful, not the best, the most impactful screenwriter of all time. And he won this award with Roger Avery for the screenplay of Pulp Fiction. He may be the greatest to ever do it.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
Now, this is out of context. Okay, he was doing a Gen X bit. I know my Gen Xers love some humor like this. Gen X humor is like, it's quoting The Breakfast Club. That's what Gen Xers love. Gen X humor is The Breakfast Club, Tarantino movies. What else? Field of Dreams, Ferris Bueller. That is, okay. Millennials are wholesome chungus, like Harry Potter house. Zoomers are like total nihilist attachment. All right, whatever. That's fine. This is really something, man. This is really something. Because he was saying it as a bit. However, I need to point out here, there were some people who were doing the bit so hard that they actually bowed their head in prayer. Look at this. They're bowing their head in prayer. Quentin Tarantino, the greatest ever. I mean, I don't like Quentin Tarantino. I actually don't like him, but just how I say the best movie director of all time, bar none, unfortunately, I wish this movie weren't filmed, Muhammad Atta. Horrific event. I wish it hadn't happened. But I think 9/11 is the most popular movie of all time. Everyone has seen it. You can't say that about 2001: A Space Odyssey. Everyone has seen an image of 9/11. Perfect lighting, cinematography, everything. angles from all over the world. Obviously, it was terrible. I'm not Ilhan Omar. I'm not going to be, some people did something. I'm not going to say that, but I'm just telling you that's the truth. He needs that Lifetime Achievement Award. But it's really something to see this, prayer, now prayer is more real. This is hyper real prayer because we are taking the prayer invented by Quentin Tarantino in the film as a joke, but also not as a joke. That's really something, all right? So firstly, and this is how you know that it's real, that what I'm talking about, the hyper real here. People were angry at him for saying he didn't know how to quote the Bible. He doesn't know his Bible. Well, brother, you don't know your Bible. You don't know the context. You think you fell out of a coconut tree. Where's the dance? You live in the context, all right, you dumb bitch. So let's watch this stupid, silly woman, and there were a lot of silly men as well, but this is the one I found that was best, reacting to this. What does she have to say?
Now, as you all know, Pete Hegseth is a man of God, a self-professed Christian, a man who likes giving it chapter and verse. Here he is. Just a warning, it is not exactly from the Bible.
So the prayer is Caesar 25:17, and it reads, and pray with me, please. The path of the downed aviator is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who, in the name of camaraderie and duty, shepherd the lost through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children.
Look, they're praying. Like they are praying. Quentin Tarantino got these hoes praying to a fake prayer. Dude, that is the greatest screenwriter of all time. Orson Welles couldn't do it. Roger Deakins couldn't do it. Stanley Kubrick couldn't do it. The Coen brothers couldn't. This is Tarantino's genius. Tarantino. Patriot. Where is it?
Patriot.
And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to capture and destroy my brother. And you will know my call sign is Sandy 1.
Yeah, so that is the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. And if it sounds familiar, I expect it's not from church. I think you'll remember it from Samuel L. Jackson and Pulp Fiction.
We already saw this. We don't need to rewatch it. This is a great movie. I like this movie a lot.
Oh, it's just a bastardized version of the Bible, and he would have got away with it if it hadn't been for all those people who'd unfortunately seen Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, you didn't look at the context. You didn't look at it. And I'm not even defending the super straightest man we've ever had for the Department of War ever. This is the straightest army ever. No homos in our army. But I love it. I love to see this. And I just have to remind you because we're going to... Where is it? Where is it? Here we go. We had to bring this up back again. We're going to talk about Erika Kirk. I just had to bring this up. The greatest Kirk edit of all time. The greatest Kirk edit ever since this came out. They've been real quiet, the editors. Let's continue. We have over here Representative Nels, who we saw yesterday. This guy's crazy, dude. This guy is actually crazy. Let's see what he has to say here about President Trump.
I believe that Donald Trump is better than sliced bread. I think he's almost the second coming, in my humble opinion. I think he's done a fantastic job. He's got a very difficult job. Pope's got a tough job, got issues in the church. But Donald Trump has a very, very difficult job to do, the toughest job in the world.
He's literally doing Trump as he says this. King Leo has the toughest job in the world. I walked into the room and I said, wow, King Leo had such a tough job. He's over here screaming. It's very difficult. But my question here is this. And I'm not trying to be pedantic. How can you be almost the second coming of Jesus Christ? You cannot be almost the second coming. That's like being almost pregnant. Brother, the sperm hit the egg or it didn't. My concern is not the blasphemy, if it even is. I mean, he may be right for all things. However, I must have missed this day at Bible school, which I don't go to because I'm Catholic. Why do I have to read the Bible? That's my favorite part of being Catholic. I don't have to do anything. I just have to go to the confession. Anyway, and I haven't done that. I gotta do that at some point, dude. I have to be in there, postmodern Catholic. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I have never confessed, brother. I don't even remember. Is that a sin? I don't even remember the sins. I've been sinning. Aren't we all sinners, Father? Anyway, how can you be almost the second coming? I am almost. Does that mean that the second coming is close, or are we talking in scale? Because my understanding of the second coming of Christ is that Jesus is going to come back. And this time, the Son of God is back with vengeance. He's going to come out here with swords and shit. He's going to be killing everyone. He's going to be fighting the devil. All those Muslims getting their heads chopped off. Well, actually, no, because of Vatican II. All the pagans in the Amazon getting their heads chopped off. The Santeria people. We're going to be fighting with the devil, and the dead will be part of the army. I don't know if Trump measures up to that on a scale from 0 to the second coming of Christ. I think we're like at 0.0001%. It's the Jillian Michaels of the second coming of Christ. So that's an inside joke for anyone that watched the Jillian Michaels video. How can he be almost the second coming? I just say, no, I don't understand what's going on. And everything says, did you see the McLovin edit? We have that on deck, sir. How could you ever think we wouldn't have that here, huh?
Shut up! Be quiet before you get exiled.
I hate everything else. It says, first the pic of him being Jesus, then the pic with Jesus. Now politicians saying he's almost second coming. Look at all the signs. LOL. Might as well be the Baudrillardian second coming. That's what I mean. If they're all saying it, dude, I think Trump has achieved Jim Jones level. I really sincerely do. I think if he said to like the MAGA heads, they need to drink Kool-Aid with arsenic in it, they would do it. I really do think that maybe like 2% of the population of the United States, which is a lot, would drink arsenic if President Trump told them to do it. And I'm not saying it because he said inject bleach. He didn't say that. I hate when liberals just make crap up. I love liberals normally, but that's not how that happened, okay? Trump didn't say to inject bleach, all right? If you say that...
You are fighting against America and you hate white people.
You need to chill out, okay? All right, let's move on. Let's continue. I need to show you this. This is a new Tesla feature that I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here, man, unfortunately. I hope the people that like cars are here. What was the point of the texting and driving laws if at the end of the day they were just going to make the phone itself a car? You're ordering, you have to choose payment, you have to do all of this to order from the Tesla diner from the car. Now, if the full self-driving is perfect, then whatever. But I'm confused as to how this works. I'm not a fan of these screens in cars because everyone has become a worse driver, including myself, because even being an old head zoomer out here, I hate these screens.
We live in hell. We live in the gutter.
Why? Because I almost got into a car accident twice. Because I was trying to see how many miles I had left on my car. I was trying to figure it out, and I was scrolling through the screen, and I ran a red, and can you even pull me over? It used to say it on the dash. Now I have to look at this stupid screen. I have to scroll. I don't hate this listen, the solution is for everyone to have a self-driving car. Then it'll all work out. That's perfect. But that's not where we are. So these screens, man, I don't understand how Elon Musk got to this through the regulators. And it's every car now. They all have these stupid screens. I'm over here waiting for someone to send me a Chinese car or a Toyota Hilux. I'm tired of these screens. I just don't get it. I had everything that says Trump is a modern day so I can goon in a Tesla. Dude, they might as well attach a flashlight to the steering wheel. Absolutely. They might as well also have the Tesla distribute your daily dose of heroin. And your goon goggles. You're just getting jerked off, driving around town, self-driving, watching some good goon bait while you order your Tesla goy slop. I mean, is that heaven or is it not heaven? I just don't understand this. And my problem with this, by the way, this is a little autistic, is that I don't know if you guys have considered this, but when you have this thing where the screen is in the car, every system runs through a computer. So back in the day, if your car AC messed up, you could replace a piece in the AC to fix it. But now they have to replace the whole goddamn thing.
You can't do it. It's disgusting.
J-Boss says, also, did you see how even the Tesla screen, they still didn't replace menus with AI? Yeah, that's true, right? Why can't you just say, dude, that's actually so true. I like J-Boss's jihad against menus. That's so true. Yeah, you still have to make these stupid little things. Like what? You have to scroll through the menu. You're right, dude. You got me autistic on this too, man. I'm really fed up with menus. You have to tip. Why would you tip? You're picking it up. It's a pickup order. I don't tip for pickup orders. 18%, $12 for a hot dog. You might as well have hummus shoved up your ass.
Do you waterboard him? Do you sleep deprive him? Do you put him in a cold cell? Do you beat him? Do you put cockroaches on him? Do you put hummus up his ass?
$12 for a hot dog, sir. That is insane. All right. I think for our last bit here, do you guys want to check out Dan Bilzerian's latest congressional interview? Obviously, look, there is offensive language here.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
I do not endorse anything or everything or none of what Dan Bilzerian said here. Yeah. He's running against the Hebrew Hammer, Randy Fine, who's a representative from my home state of Florida, the greatest state in the union. The greatest state! No, that's California. But we're up there, all right? We matter. We're not Minnesota. All right. Let's see what he's saying here in his campaign to get elected for a congressional seat in Florida to Oyen Schroyer, the InfoWars guy.
Jews are causing a disproportionate amount of problems in the United States.
Whoa! Okay. Again. That very strong lean.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
I'm not endorsing that. I'm not saying that that's correct, but just that's the energy that's being brought. Fishback doesn't say this stuff. This is... All right. Okay. Let's continue.
And I think that Jewish supremacy is the greatest threat to the world today. And I'm not going to dance around that issue. That's just the facts. So... if they want to come up with made up words like anti-Semite, which, like I said, it's a completely nonsensical word. I mean, the Arabs are the actual, if we're actually talking about anti-Semitism, then you would say that Israel is the most anti-Semitic place on the planet because they're conducting a genocide against Semites. But the problem is they've weaponized the word, and they've used the word solely to focus on, Jewish victimhood, which is pretty much non-existent. But they use that card like they use the Holocaust over and
okay. I think that's enough. Listen, we can be critical of James Fishback for some stuff. I actually, dude, you know what's weird is my Florida friends. I have friends who are communists, and I have friends who are like right wingers, and both friends from both sides have approached me and said, dude, I think I'm gonna vote for this Fishback guy, dude. The commie is like it's like he's like a commie environmentalist. He's like, bro, this is the only guy who's talking about the environment. Fuck these Democrats. Fuck them. I'm gonna vote for him. And of course, the right winger is like, I like this Fishback guy, dude. I want to tax these hoes, Now, this is a federal seat. This is a representative seat. Okay. I just don't look. I kind of understand why this is relevant because you're going to be voting in Congress. But I miss the days when politics was about the state you're from. I would want to see Dan Bilzerian talk about how he's going to bring us a bunch of pork to Florida, please. Randy Fine hasn't brought us jack shit. We need money from the feds. Why don't you bring us money? You're a representative. You're there to fight for our state, I hate everything he says. Florida politics, absolute cinema, brother. It's just we need a BB to get in here, man.
Netanyahu, what do you have to say?
He's too damn quiet, dude. What is actually going on? It's just not possible. And Eve says Owen is either Jesus or the Antichrist. I don't know much about Owen Schroyer, sir. I really don't. I've never really watched InfoWars. It's not my bag. If I wanted to fight with someone about the moon landing, I would go to a dive bar. All right. But I appreciate that, Eves. I do agree. Let's continue. We have to get to our next segment, which is pretty long, man. No goyim have gone insane today, man. Today's a pretty long segment of Slave Watch.
I want you to take your knife. Getting him, King? Make it sing.
I'm not gonna fucking blow my life away working.
I want what I can't have.
Get yourself up and get to work right now.
I'm broke as fuck. The rent's due.
Toby, stay. Toby, stay. Toby, be good now.
Can't wait to make spreadsheets and send emails.
Pretty big stuff today. All right. Big stuff. My Gentiles fellows, I assume we have some Jewish people here as well. Everyone is welcome, but my Gentiles brothers, we're going crazy out here.
I can't stand these fucking people, man. The joke is becoming a reality. Every day I hate one more person. They drive me crazy, man.
Let us watch 2 Fox News segments about the ladies and their relationship with work.
For so long, there was this feminist movement that tried to push and tell us that we should all just kind of put aside wanting to start a family. Don't worry about getting married. Don't worry about having kids. You should solely focus on your career. And I know so many women, and you probably do too, Rachel, who got to a certain age and realized, wait a minute, this is something I actually want. And in many cases, they either had a huge struggle to have children or they couldn't do it at all, and they were left absolutely devastated. But you're right, this isn't about locking women up in the home and saying, like, you can't go out and pursue things independently. This is about women continuing to work and having independent pursuits of their own, but it is about a focus on returning to family. And those of us with families of our own know, Rachel, it doesn't matter what I do the rest of my life. The most powerful title I will ever have is the title of mom.
This is Lara Trump. My question here is this. It seems like a lot of ladies are starting to want to be trad wives. Now, my understanding of what a trad wife is a wife like my great-grandmother or grandmother were, all right? My great-grandmother, you know, my great-great-grandma, she was at home, married to a Corsican, running cacao plantations in Venezuela, teaching her grandkids French, and making dinner. Now, my great-great-grandmother was not on Fox News. She was not full of filler and Botox on her face and looking insane on Fox News. My great-grandmother was a real trad wife. She did not look like this. She did not have Mar-a-Lago face. She looked like an old woman because that's what she was. She loved being a trad wife, I guess. Or maybe she didn't. Maybe she hated it. I don't know. I never fucking met her. I'm sure she fucking hated it. Anyway, how are you telling me that the young ladies don't want to work, they want to be trad wives, and you're saying that you want to be a trad wife? Bitch, you're on Fox News right now. What trad wife? If you were a trad wife, you would be barefoot, naked, covered in butter in the kitchen. Isn't that what a trad wife does by definition? And I'm not saying that's aspirational. But all right, and maybe she can afford to do that. That's the other question. There's not enough money to be a trad wife. Elizabeth Warren warned you hoes, warned the men 20 years ago. 2-income trap. Who can afford to be a trad? Now, look, I'm sure I'm going to get some conservative. It's always these damn conservatives, brother.
Conservatives are the worst. You cannot work with them. You have to be in opposition to them. You have to oppose them constantly, even when they sound like you, especially when they sound like you. And you need to deplatform conservatives.
Some conservative Falahin is going to come in here and tell me, King Leo, you don't know what you're talking about, okay? You could always move to Lake Wales and buy a $30,000 crack den, and you can go get a job welding boats for $19 an hour and have your trad wife at home raising your children in a trailer park next to the meth heads. So it's still possible. Brother, guess what? I like to go to the Nobu. I'm not moving to Lake Wales. I like to go to the Crazy Bull in Miami. All right. I've never been to Nobu, actually. It strikes me as a scam, but whatever. I like to go eat at the Mexican restaurant in Miami. I'm not moving to Lake Wales, and I'm not welding a fucking boat. What the hell are you talking about, you crazy bitch? What is this woman talking about? Let's continue. Another Fox News segment. See this here.
Here's a headline for you. The stay-at-home boyfriend is now an economic trend as more women than men go to work. And the reason they found is that fewer young men, Maggie, are entering the workforce than their fathers, their parents were. Is this a trend that you are noticing personally? And what do you think about this?
Yes, well, on the internet, we call those men NEET, so they're not in education, employment, or training. I think a lot of men feel really comfortable sitting online all day long. That's a very comforting space for them. And if they're being financially supported, whether by parents or a girlfriend, God knows why that woman chose them, then of course they can continue to do that. I think that's very disturbing. I would not have a stay-at-home boyfriend.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is.
Look, I'm not going to, you guys know me, I'm a transgender. I'm transgender. I'm King Transgender Leo. We are all transgender now. I should make a pin. I'm going to wear that on the show. We are all trans now. We're all trans people now. You are trans. Sorry, wake up. You're trans. You're trans. I'm sorry. You are a trans person. You don't believe me? You don't believe me? I know all the men in this audience. are not using a straight razor to shave their face before they go stab a German guy with a bayonet. You're not a man if you're not doing that. And I know the ladies might enjoy driving a sports car. I'm sorry to break it to you. You're a transgender.
Say the M word. Go on.
You're transgender. Everyone is transgender now. It's true. Okay. Now, this is weird. I will admit this. This is a weird time for the economy. Why is it weird? Well, it's weird because traditionally, men worked and women stayed home. However, thankfully, we had the feminist movement. Don't ask Andrew Wilson. He'll probably shoot you if you say that. But look, we had the feminist movement. The ladies wanted to work. Whether they were told they wanted to work by someone else or something, they wanted to work. And they got the ability to work. And you know what we found out? We found out that these ladies are actually pretty good at working. Who would have thought? And now companies hire the ladies because they're better for the bottom line. And if you don't believe me, why don't we compare the GDP of Afghanistan and that of the United States? Because if men in the workplace are the best, then Afghanistan should be the #1 economy in the whole world. But it doesn't seem like that's the case. And you can be mad at me, but I didn't invent it. It was the world. It's not my fault. It's just how it works. Okay? The ladies, that's who the corps want, and that's fine. Okay? Men were better at other shit. All right? They were probably never good at pushing paper. Okay? And a lot of these jobs in this Bajrallardian economy are just, answering emails and crap. So now there's a little weird thing where the ladies and the men have a sexual dimorphism type of thing. I'm not exactly sure how it works. Where ladies can make a lot of money and men can't make a lot of money in that kind of role. Now, they'll always tell you the conservative animal, the conservative bullshitter.
It's 90% bullshit, but it's entertaining.
They'll tell you, why don't you get into the trades? Why don't you go get in the trades? Why don't you become a welder? Why don't you go inhale toxic fumes for $15 an hour? How about you take a big step back, to quote Elon Musk quoting Tropic Thunder, and fuck your own face? No, I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to recommend that to any young man. You ever see a construction worker in his 50s? You know how their back's doing? You ever see a pool cleaner? You seen the skin on a pool cleaner's hands? Not great. So we're in a weird moment right now, but the only way out is through. We have the dialectic, the thesis, the antithesis, and the synthesis. And who knows how this ends up? It's going to end up weird, probably. It's going to be a weird situation. However, this shaming of people that are, I just think it's so damn silly. It's so silly. Women are better at working than men. It's just objectively true. In the first world economy, it's true. If you go to the third world, it's also true to an extent. Men are working physical roles and all this, but the women are the ones who are best for companies and all this. You can be angry about it. You can be a little baby. You can cry like a little baby. That's right, run. Or you can grow up. And this is just damn silly. These, they want you to do crazy shit, man. It's not true. All right. That's my rant on the Tran wives. Now, I have to play you this enlightened slave here. This is a free man talking. This man does not have the slave mentality.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, the slave mentality, the slave mind.
Let's hear some wisdom from this British gentleman over here. This is some great stuff over here. You should take notes here. When a British old head is speaking, you sit your spick ass down and listen.
Up, nobody straight talking arsehole here.
Oh, we have to put this at 1 speed because I can't understand their accents over there.
Afternoon, everybody. Straight talking arsehole here. This is probably going to be my last video ever. I think the time has come to give it a drop and forget about it. It's all a waste of time. Nothing changes. Corruption's still rife. We ain't going to war, but we're still talking about it like we are. I've decided I've completely wasted my fucking life in the UK. Sad as it may seem, 9 years in the military, 25 years in the police, 17 years undercover gangster, estate agent, lorry driver, cement truck driver, sales, car sales, and everywhere you go, everyone is swindling. You know, in the States, either were swindling the rent money, that they're claiming rent, saying they're only part-time and getting the government to pay the rent, and all other shit like that. In the car sales, people coming in the plant for finance, buying cars on finance when they're unemployed, on benefits, and they're on more money than I was working for a living by the time that totted up all the bits and pieces. My mate's a professional shoplifter. I say a mate, I know him. He's one of the guys I drink, sometimes I see in the pub. He earns £1 a week shoplifting. And he's on benefits, he gets his rent paid, he gets PIP because he's got mental health issues. And he just have to fucking cry. Literally. So I'm thinking to myself, I've just done I'm 66, I've been at work since I was 16, so 50 years at work, virtually, or bar a few times off here and there. For what? For fuck all. To give it all away to people who don't deserve a fucking penny. Whether it be the migrants, whether it be the benefit scroungers, whether it be anybody. Or what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to hang my boots up, fuck off down the pub and get pissed, and then I'm going to just call it a draw. Social media is a waste of space. Nothing happens off social media very much at all, rather than a lot of talk. The parades are a waste of space. Nobody cares. They're all lashed off as far-right parades. I went to one the other day in Pump, in Gosport, in Pompey. It was a waste of time. You know, you've got to just say to yourself, get on with your life, stay on benefits, steal, and that way you'll never be wrong. Because people like me will support you because we're fucking stupid. That's the bottom line. We are fucking stupid. Joe Public, the taxpayer, is fucking stupid. Be a crook. It's the only way forward.
The greatest boomer to ever live. Let's do a little celebration for this slave breaking his slave mentality.
Хочу сказать, что же я хочу сказать?
He broke the slave mentality. Let's go. This is a free man talking. I'm so glad to see this. I'm so glad to see. Now, obviously, this is from a right-wing perspective, and that's fine. It's not a conservative. Please be nice. He's not a conservative. Conservatives welcome on the channel, but not my preference. This is a free man talking. Absolutely. The Protestant work ethic is obsolete.
Obsolete.
It is obsolete. It's over. It's over. He is speaking his mind. He is. I used to pray for days like this. Pray for days where me and my fellow Gentile would wake up to this fact, man. Wake up. Just wake up, man. This is the best advice I get. You know, a lot of boomers, they'll look at you and they'll tell you, oh, listen, you got to go to college. You got to go get some debt. You got to go get a job, a starter job. You got to buy a starter home. And you're looking around and you're going, what the fuck are you talking about, you dumb bitch? I can't do this. I can't. This doesn't exist anymore. This is a genius. Everyone else doing the wrong thing and succeeding. You doing the right thing and failing. I mean, what do we have to say there?
If the rule you followed brought you to this, of what use was the rule?
Of what use was that rule? This is a free man talking. It is not every day that you see a slave break his chains. He is no longer being whipped. He is a free man, the freest of the free men. And I'm fucking proud, dude. I'm proud. Like, you can make a lot of money by being a parasite. By living, you know who's a parasite? Everyone at the top and everyone at the bottom. And you in the middle here, you're just the goyest goy. You love to work. Oh, I love working. Oh, I know that work will set me free. What are you, a concentration camp victim? No, what set them free was the American military bombing everyone and the Russians. Okay? No, work will not make you free. Who knew it would be a British boomer? The greatest to ever do it. Let's continue. Speaking of, let's listen to the new AI track of the summer, which is called Bootstrapper, which sure a lot of boomers are huge fans of.
I'm a rock rib conservative, bootstrapping bangers, you know I got them all, but my boy don't seem to get it. No love for Israel or the Wailing Wall, says he wants white unity and a free Palestine. So I kicked him out the house in the cruel cold streets. Yeah, he fucked around and found out. Gotta teach him what bootstrapping's all about. Went and got me a new son, he's a different kind of breed. A young black buck that loves the GOP. Watching them live for TikTok in my Ford F-350. Rolling cold black and rock, this is MAGA country. You can keep your damn litter box in if you don't like Israel. Go ahead and kiss Lady MAGA's big fat cock. Yeah, buddy, big old cloud of black smoke rolling cold. Just me and Tyrone flexing on the most socialist demon rats. They can't make us wear a mask. Hold up, let me pull on my bootstraps. We'll be waving pride flags over Baghdad. And if they don't like that, we'll turn them all to glass. Yeah, I'm proud to pay that tax for all I care. My little tar son can starve and kiss my ass.
We are going to get so postmodern. You're going to tell me, King Leo, we can't get any more postmodern. I'm going to say, yes, we must get more postmodern. You're going to say, King Leo, no more postmodernist. Yes, you can't defeat this. This train doesn't stop for anyone, man. It doesn't stop for anyone. Song of the summer right here. Number one track and the greatest to ever do it. All right, let's get to our main story. Time to get to our main stories. Let's start over here with JD Vance and Erika Kirk. It will transition us. Listen, I told you I'm transgender, so do not be concerned about how I transition you to the next story, okay? Let's start here with JD Vance. This was 2 days ago. JD Vance went over here, gave a little speech. Fat boy! That's what I call JD Vance. Me and producer, we call him Fat Boy. You know what's so mean about JD Vance existing? Is that President Trump, of all people, he is like that girl at the nightclub who brings her obese, ugly friend. Or man. Men do this as well. They bring in their ugly, fat friend. And, you know, they're maybe like a 6 or something. But when next to this ugly freak, this ugly little freak, CCTV, I'm the great curator. They call me the great curator. This ugly freak like JD Vance.
Disgusting and gross. I mean, he should just be. I don't like ugly, stupid freaks.
He makes President Trump look good. He makes that shit look easy. All right. Let's see what Fat Boy had to say here. All right, let's see what Fat Boy had to say. Great stuff over here from Fat Boy.
And how can you say that God is never on the side of those who wield the sword? Was God on the side of the Americans who liberated France from the Nazis? Was God on the side of the Americans who liberated Holocaust camps and liberated those innocent people from, those who had survived the Holocaust? I certainly think the answer is yes, and I agree. Jesus Christ does not. I agree. Jesus Christ certainly does not support genocide. Whoever yelled that out from the dark, he certainly does not. I think that's pretty easy. I think that's a pretty easy principle. Okay, so here's a guy. Let me just say this. This is a guy. No. First of all, random dude who's shouting, can I finish my point and then I'll respond to what you just shouted? Is that okay?
You fat, you stink, and you in my country. I'm the top. You can't live in your own country. You're a monkey in your country.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to throw up off camera. Give me 1 second. Oh my. What a disgusting fat pig. Disgusting pig. Ugh! Ugh. Fat pig. Ugh! Shut up, man. Just shut up.
Shut up, man.
Man, listen.
You ain't got to say.
Listen.
Speaking for Jesus, I don't know if Jesus would have supported genocide. I never met him. Imagine having this lack of, as the kids say, aura. Disgusting. Let's continue on this fucking train wreck of an appearance.
Seeing different sides of a somewhat similar narrative, how would you respond to somebody who says that the only way to succeed in this country is to come from a generationally wealthy family?
That's a good question. Wow, I didn't expect that one. Well, first of all, it's just not true. And I think that one of the things that, a very powerful thing that somebody told me is that, disadvantage and unfairness, it is true. Not everybody started at the exact same place. Some people were dealt a much worse hand than others. But what somebody, again, this person gave me a very good piece of advice and said, no matter what hand you were dealt, you have the responsibility to play it as well as you can. And I think that for me at least, there was something empowering for me about recognizing that, yeah, my life wasn't as easy as most other kids. Like, I wasn't born with money. I wasn't born with parents who had connections, but I still had a responsibility to God. I had a responsibility to myself to play that hand as well as I possibly could. And that was very empowering to me. So I think first the message is, look at the stories. Look at Clarence Thomas. Look at all the people in the United States who have come from very humble beginnings and achieved great things. You can believe, as I do, that we have to do a lot better job by the young people of this country, while at the same time knowing that you are the master of your own destiny. Never give up on yourself, and never believe that you're a victim of circumstances, because when you believe that...
Say the M word, go on.
Fuck is Fat Boy talking about, dude? What are you talking about? What is this? It's just platitudes.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not. It
gets the people going.
This is one conservative thing I don't understand. And Jordan Peterson was guilty of this. We don't all start the same, but sometimes we need to try harder. We need to play the hand we're dealt. When you say you need to play the hand you're dealt, you know what's funny? For any poker fans out here, you actually don't have to. You can actually fold. You can fold the hand and wait for the next turn. You can do that in poker. And I'm wondering, look, JD Vance was born to, I'm sure she was a beautiful mother. Like, it was a beautiful woman that had JD Vance. JD Vance, beautiful mother. Right? Saint. Okay. And she's born and she realizes she has this disgusting freak to take care of, this fat boy, and immediately decides, well, I gotta get me on that heroin. Because if you had JD Vance as a kid, it's like Rosemary's Baby, Well, actually in Rosemary's Baby, she grew to like the devil's kid at the end of the movie. But JD Vance is born and his mother's like, I got to go get some of that heroin. Oh my Lord. This motherfucker's disgusting. I don't know why she's black, but anyway. JD, I'm not even going to give him my name. Look at this disgusting thing. How many people had drug addict mothers and didn't end up being the vice president of the United States? Jeopardy music. A whole fucking lot. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I hate this thing, dude, where they're like, there can't be equality of outcome, but there should be equality of opportunity. It's literally impossible, brother. Like, it's literally impossible. You know what you are? You know what you are when you say that? You're a goddamn communist, actually. Equality of opportunity. How do we do that? How do we make sure there's equality of opportunity? Equality of opportunity sounds nice, right? When Jordan Peterson would come out there addled on meth and he'd be, you have to make sure that you clean your room. Where is he, by the way? Is he still alive? Is Michaela torturing him? You have to make sure you clean your room, boy. You have to clean your room. You need to clean your room. We need equality of opportunity, blah, blah, blah. How is that even possible? It is impossible unless the state takes everyone's kids and gives them. Brother, if someone is born half retarded and missing a leg, he will not have equality of opportunity. He will not. Ay, my God. These conservative platitudes. And JD Vance, brother, listen, man, you know what? You did what it had to take. JD Vance, he changed last names a million times. He went to Yale somehow. He joined the army and sat behind a desk for a few years. And then he sucked off Peter Thiel. And he was like, Peter, your cum tastes so good. Can I have a job? That was JD Vance's career arc, actually. That's obviously a joke, okay? It's alleged. It's not true. Don't sue me. I don't know if he sucked Peter Thiel's cock, but many people are saying that JD Vance may have sucked Peter Thiel's cock. I'm not going to suck Peter Thiel's cock. If that makes me a bad person, well, I'm sorry. I'm not going to suck Peter Thiel's cock. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in that, JD. JD, buddy, I'm not interested in that. Dude, these people are going to lose long term, man. Like, I don't know. Besides boomers and Gen Xers, who else can fall for this crap, man? No, man. When quantitative easing, with the housing market as is, with the job market as is, with AI, this is just platitudes. It's just crap. Let's continue. And it's trite. It's trite. What else does this fat boy have to say here?
Issues like for example, I recognize that a lot of young voters don't love the policy that we have in the Middle East. Okay, I understand that. I also know that we've secured the border. We've lowered housing prices now for 8 months in a row, and there's going to be more to come beyond that. We've made America energy dominant, which has lowered electricity costs and things like that. We've made it so that we have the lowest murder rate in 127 years. I'm not saying you have to agree with me on every issue. I'm not saying you have to agree with me on every issue. What I'm saying is don't get disengaged because you disagree with the administration on one topic. Get more involved. Make your voice heard even more. That's how we ultimately take the country back. It's not by you. If you get 5 things you want and 1 thing you don't want, I see way too many people, especially in sort of the online conservative, Twitter sphere, who say, there's no point. No. Because, or let me give you another example, the SAVE Act, okay? A lot of people want the SAVE Act. I want the SAVE Act. I've been fighting for the SAVE Act literally since day one of the administration. And I've seen a lot of people saying, what the hell's the point of voting for these guys if, you've got 3 Republicans joining with the Democrats to prevent the SAVE Act from passing, or I guess 4 Republicans. And here's my response to that. Yes, it is annoying to me that there are only 45 or 46 Republicans who will fight politically to get the SAVE Act passed. But you know what? 10 years ago, that number was 35. So the answer to frustration is engagement. Don't give up on this process. Get more involved in this process and demand more from people like me. That's how we take our country back. I just think it's important.
You can't keep doing this, man. You can't be. They can't get away with this.
You can't keep getting away with it. You can't keep getting away with it.
It's disgusting, dude. Yeah, I disappointed you. I let you down. But actually, you should become more involved. I like to use analogies because it makes sense. And I'm not even a conservative, dude. I don't even agree with a lot of this stuff, personally. I don't disagree either. I don't really give a shit. Personally, it's going to happen. How you doing, Suzanne? But what I'm saying is this. If you are married to a beautiful transgender woman, just the most beautiful. You could be a man or a woman, I don't care. And your beautiful transgender wife has cheated on you 1,000 times. And you've forgiven her every time. She comes back home and she says, honey, I may have cheated on you again. What do you do in that situation? Do you go, I understand, honey. You know, it's okay. I'm going to get more involved in our marriage. I'm going to make sure that I can pay for your hormone replacement therapy and all this because I need to make sure that you feel strong and that way we can have... Or do you just divorce her?
Ugh. Brother, ugh. What's that? What's that, brother?
How retarded do you have to be to... He's literally bringing you into the Matrix. Not to be Andrew Tate. What color is your Bugatti? No. If you voted for something and you got scammed, I'll even give you that. If you got scammed, if you go to Target and you get scammed, and you go back to, what did George Bush say? Fool me once. You know, that's a shame on you. Fool me twice. You know, that's shame on... Fool me twice. You can't fool me once, fool me twice. You can't get fooled again. This is not The Who. How retarded.
I can't stand these fucking people, man. The joke is becoming a reality. Every day I hate one more person. They drive me crazy, man.
If I were a conservative, I would just walk into a river, dude. Like, what is the point of this? What is the point of... Anyway, that's what Fat Boy had to say, all right? That's what Fat Boy had to say. We can skip this for the night. We have to move on to Miss Erika Kirk. Let's go. Let's do our Kirk Watch intro, actually. Why don't we do our Kirk Watch intro? We're going to do Kirk Watch tonight.
We are Charlie Kirk. We carry the flame. We'll fight for the gospel. We'll honor his name.
We have to talk about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirky. I just popped the Berkey. We have to talk about Charlie Kirk. Carlito Kirk, as we know him down in the barrio. Carlito Kirk. All right. No. I can assure you Charlie Kirk was not well known in the Hispanic neighborhoods. Charlie Kirk was not well known. Anyway. Just can't stand it. I can't stand it. All right. Ephra says, the only reason Vance is there is because there's a weird connection between Russ and the Her Foundation, most likely, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not sure personally, because what I focused on in this conference here was the Erika Kirk thing, Ephra. But you may be right. I'll defer to you on this. Erika Kirk was supposed to make an appearance at this conference. She was. However, someone tried to kill her. It's like Denzel, you know, and American Gangster. They tried to kill my wife. You know, it was crazy. You know, apparently, she was going to give a speech at this Charlie Kirk crap. Sorry, not Charlie Kirk. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. At this JD Vance crap. But what happened is that no one was there because no one wants to see Fat Boy talk. People rather put pins in their testicles than listen to Fat Boy talk. If I had the opportunity, if JD Vance were at a bar and I was forced to sit next to him, I would order, and I couldn't get up, I would order the most intoxicating drink 5 times over so that I could get blackout drunk like Eric Swalwell and wake up the next morning in Benny Johnson's bed because I don't want to remember any of it. I don't want to be molested by JD Vance. And molested by JD Vance is just looking at him. How did Kanye say it? To modify Kanye, fat boy is sexual assault because when I look at fat boy JD Vance, I feel sexually assaulted. Okay. Suzanne, that's a very funny wait. Is modularism like futuristic black pill but chilling? We're definitely chilling. No cortisol spike over here. Absolutely not. Black pill, I'm not sure. Well, there are opportunities in this. There's so much more to hope for in this world than Fat Boy deporting all of the Mexicans. Or Gavin Newsom building the train between San Francisco and Los Angeles. There's so much more to hope for. We can hope for so many things. We can hope for anything we like. Anyway. Erika Kirk, she sees this empty stadium. And instead of forgiving, this time she went out there and she was like, that man, JD Vance, I don't forgive him because he's a fat loser. So she didn't appear. And then she started to say that they tried to kill her. Let's look at this appearance here.
Just in the past few minutes, Turning Point USA CEO Erika Kirk canceled a planned appearance at today's event in Georgia after receiving what organizers called very serious threats. Erika Kirk is the widow, of course, of the late conservative commentator Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated last year at a Turning Point event in Utah. Today's rally was held at the University of Georgia in Athens.
I don't believe her. I don't believe you. I don't believe this woman. I don't believe her. I really don't. I think that she saw, which is very important, because this is the real signal here. This isn't slop. We're not covering slop. Okay. We are a refined channel. We are the channel. This is an aristocratic channel. If you're here, you enjoy some caviar champagne and a nice evening on the French Riviera with all of your bisexual friends, okay? This is what you enjoy if you're on this channel. You enjoy eating some caviar, using some snuff tobacco, smoking a fine cigar, and discussing Formula One races, okay? That's what you like. This is more significant than people think, in my opinion. Now, look, obviously, we have to consider the fact there has to be some sort of matrix here, all right? The likelihood of JD Vance, I guess it would be this way. The likelihood of JD Vance appearing at your event has an inverse correlation with people showing up at your event. Because when someone hears that, JD Vance is going to be somewhere, they get a little uncomfortable. They start, they're like, not sure I want to be there. JD Vance is a bit of a creep. Is Peter Thiel going to be there too? Okay, so look, well, there's that. Okay, people don't like to be around JD Vance. JD Vance makes people uncomfortable, obviously, because he's JD Vance. If Erika Kirk is here at an event and it's 2 months ago, everyone's and their mother is there. Patrick Bet-David, the numbers guy, is flying in to the WWE show to go honor Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirky. I just popped Kirky. I love that one. That's the best one. We got Charlie Kirk. Rest in peace, sincerely. This is important. Erika Kirk had to cancel her appearance because of security threats, whatever you want to call it. It's because no one wants to see her anymore. No one wants to see Fat Boy, and sorry to call her this. I know the ladies are a bit sensitive about this. Fat girl, Erika Kirk. Ozempic is literally $2,000, Erika. You can get on the Ozempic, lose that 20 pounds. No one wants to see hot leather pants Erika Kirk talk about, my husband would get home and he would just kick off his shoes and Shabbat Shalom and go kiss the children on the forehead and sit down and watch the goy slop. No one wants to hear that. Everyone it's played out. This is a problem with Erika Kirk and TPUSA, and this is why it's important. TPUSA is a very important organization. It kind of won Trump the last election. Zoomer people, which were the basis of TPUSA. TPUSA was a psychological operation. doing the Alex Jones voice, okay? TPUSA was a psychological operation to make college Zoomers retarded.
Mental retard.
That's what it was about. It was about making them retarded. It was a vampire organization.
Vampire.
Okay, it was there to vampire all the patriots. And the nationalists. Okay, it was a eugenicist organization.
Eugenicist.
And its goal, was to make people retarded and vote for Trump or whatever. I'm not saying voting for Trump makes you inherently retarded. Nothing wrong with voting for Trump. If you want to vote for Trump, go vote for him. I'll go vote for Trump with you right now. Let's go vote for Trump together. Let's cast our vote. Let's literally write it in right now. Let's go vote for Trump again. Oh my God. And then I'll vote for Kamala with you. Okay. It doesn't fucking matter. Right? I don't vote in any election, dude. Anyway. This show's getting too silly. We're getting a little silly tonight. All right, anyway. She was supposed to carry the baton. She was supposed to keep making people patriot retards with TPUSA. That was her goal, to go on college campuses and get people. And in the moment when Charlie Kirk died, it was an important moment because the country was galvanized. I remember people were saying, like, Charlie Kirk died for our sins. He's a great man, Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk landed on the moon. He took the first step before Neil Armstrong. Charlie Kirk. I remember there was even some people being like, they killed him because he was white. I was like, dude, I think they killed him because they didn't like him. I'm not sure about all this. We haven't even had a trial. I don't know why Tyler Robinson killed him. I guess I'm just a little responsible. But anyway, in that moment, every Zoomer in America was like, that was conservative, was like, I hated Charlie Kirk or I loved him. But now in death, I am Charlie Kirk as well. I am Charlie Kirk. And we're going to fight for Charlie Kirk's legacy. But now that Erika Kirk has overstayed her welcome, TPUSA is falling apart. She's killing Charlie Kirk's legacy. The most important thing. Okay? And you can see this because even though she canceled, Fat Boy had to say something about her here.
And I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in my life as a political leader. And I will tell you that the people who tell you, I was there with her, I was holding her hand, my wife was hugging her while we loaded Charlie's body onto Air Force Two and said the Lord's Prayer. The people telling you that Erika wasn't grieving her husband are full of shit. And we need to be honest about that fact.
Can you believe that they didn't even put Charlie on Air Force One? They put him on Air Force Two. When I die, don't put me on Air Force Two. Put me on Air Force One. Air Force One or bust. I'm not going on Air Force Two. No, I'm not number 2. I'm number 1. Don't put me on Air Force 2. In this, after she canceled, maybe he didn't know that she had canceled, doesn't matter. He has to defend her. He has to say, oh, she doesn't actually not, she obviously cares. The WWE show, it's important. My producer said something which is true about the Charlie Kirk relationship with Erika Kirk. The reason people are so confused about it is because it would take someone from the silent generation to make you understand. What happened here is that Erika Kirk and Charlie Kirk met later in life. They were both older, and she got married to him, and maybe she didn't love him so much. She saw him as somewhat successful, and she wasn't really going anywhere at that point in her life. So she was like, you know what? It's not settling. He seems like a nice guy. I respect him. I respect his work. I respect who he is. Let's get married. And they got married. They had their kids. And, over time, she's like, you know what? I may actually start developing a little bit of feelings for him. I love him. But there were probably a lot of marriages like this in the 1930s and stuff. And, you'd see these older couples that the wife is like, I don't love everything about him. His head's a little big. His teeth are weird. But I've learned to love him. I do like him. But if you were to assassinate the silent gen guy, and she's like 30, and they have kids, she's not going to feel that bad. And it's not her fault. It's just the nature of the situation. And Charlie would have been fine with it, and everyone else would have been fine with it, because they're not deluded. This is a very traditional marriage that is absent nowadays, because nowadays it's a Disney movie. Oh my God, I love you. Let me suck on your feet. And that's how marriage is now, because everyone's been mind fucked by Disney. It was a marriage of convenience, and it was just cut off too early. If they had lived out to be 80, you would have seen her being like, I love this weird teeth-looking motherfucker. He's a great guy. But this happened. So even Fat Boy still needs to defend her. This is a disaster for her publicity. Okay, it's a disaster, all wanted to show you. I mean, we know, we've seen the memes, man. These are the memes, okay? We're actually getting a Charlie Kirk Memorial Highway in Florida as well. So, look, man, she just had to keep the organization going, but she fucked up. She did. She overstayed her welcome. She didn't do the publicity right. And I think this is going to have reverberations throughout youth politics in the country. TPUSA is going to lose influence, and as it probably already is. I think it's because Erika, look, man, she was in a really tough situation where she knew she had a moment with his death where everyone cared about her. And she really couldn't do much more than the WWE events, really, because she can't go around campuses arguing with college students because she's not Ben Shapiro. She doesn't have that dog in her. She's not a hard man.
I like to get a bunch of men together.
Okay.
Men that are the hardest of the hard. And I want to be with these men.
Okay, she's not a hard Ben Shapiro type. That's not what she's like, okay? She has a tough time. And even if she wanted to go out there and debate idiots or geniuses about whether transgender people are okay and if illegal immigrants need to be raped or killed, and then should illegal immigrants be killed and then raped or raped and then killed? You know, great. I'm fucking around. Whatever. The problem is that her security would not have let her do it. She can't go out there. And either way, at that time, we had the great Myron Gaines, who I despise on this channel. The worst. He started going on college campuses, and he's out there saying some real anti-Semitic stuff, you know, just
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
talking about how the Israel is bad or whatever. And that's the energy now, because before you couldn't say that kind of stuff on campus, and that is what people want. They know this. They know that if you watch extreme pornography, you are going to watch even more extreme with time. And the reason is because you get desensitized, and everyone got desensitized to the Charlie Kirk talking points, especially after his death. She's in a really tough position. I think this is going to be very, very bad for the organization. Furthermore, this is really necromancy here, dude. Like, this is, I really am uncomfortable with this. I never liked it, this Charlie Kirk necromancy. I like the memes because that kind of necromancy is like whatever, because it's not really reviving him. It's not really a Ouija board. It's like living in an ether. He's ascended to another level, another plane that many of us will never get to. Your great-grandchildren are not going to make AI memes of you. They're going to make AI memes of Charlie Kirk, okay? But on his show here, they will not let him rest.
Some of them going to sleep. Fuck God!
There is still the Charlie Kirk show. He has been dead for 6 months, and they are still doing this. And they covered here the threats against Erika.
So we had over 2,000 people there. Massive, massive energy. Great, great enthusiasm from the attendees. But and this happens, the left-wing groups swarm the ticketing, and they try and book up all the tickets, and then they don't show. And that's one of their forms of protest. Normally, we're pretty good at sniffing it out, but they use some new means and activities, and so we're working with our ticketing systems to adjust for that moving forward. But yeah, it was a eventful night.
Who is this? You're not Charlie Kirk, bro. Bro thinks he's Charlie Kirk. They're even using his email, freedom@charliekirk.com. Do you see how sick this is? This is sick. This is freaking sick, dude. So yeah, I don't believe her that there were these death threats. I think she realized this was going to be a bad look to be out there speaking to an empty crowd. You know, he says 2,000 people. Doubt. My crowd size was way bigger than that African man's, Barack Obama.
Gotta have them ribs. And pussy too.
All right. And here we have someone actually talking about the Turning Point event. This is great stuff. I think this is Ben Swan. Is this Ben Swan? Yeah, Ben Swan. Who's talking about the direction of TPUSA not being in the best way.
Tonight, talking about what just happened at last night's Turning Point USA event, because this one moment might tell you so much about what you need to know about where the MAGA movement is right now. On Tuesday, Vice President J.D. Vance took to the stage, and, well, before we get into all that, just watch this video. Attendees posting these scenes from social media showing this event was so empty, especially for a Turning Point USA event in Athens, Georgia, at the University of Georgia. You know, these kind of events are usually filled with tens of thousands of people. That's what they had grown to, if not thousands of loyal conservative voters. But this time, that wasn't the case. Listen to this.
So if you want to complain about what happened in Gaza, so if you want, sir, to complain about what happened in Gaza, why don't you complain about Joe Biden and the last administration? We're the administration that solved that problem. And by the way, not only was our administration, like the administration that solved the problem, but the president. Excuse me, sir. Right now, you see more humanitarian aid coming into Gaza than it has any time in the past 5 years because we have taken that situation seriously. And that's one of the things that I'm proud of about our administration is whether it's there or Thailand and Cambodia, we have consistently tried as much as we can to solve these problems, not just complain about them like the guy who just ran away.
Okay, so you heard it all there, and actually Vice President Vance did a pretty good job there of responding to that protester who yelled out, "You are killing children," at that Turning Point event. But normally that kind of thing doesn't really happen there. In the past, Charlie Kirk, obviously he would get protesters who would say things. He did a good job of responding to them. That's why people like to combat with him, debate with him, go back and forth, right? But think about the overall response from the Vice President. So much of it didn't address the core issue there. The children in Gaza who have died, the children in Lebanon who are dying even tonight. Instead, so much of it was just more of the same talking points, talking about Joe Biden and blaming him. No mention of Israel at all, no mention of their role, just kind of the same talking points that you would hear if you were watching Fox News. And the problem there is that so many people, especially young people, especially Gen Z, are starting to tune that out. I mean, think about it. The Vice President floundered through a lot of his questions. And then, of course, the Epstein files came up, and he actually talked about Pizzagate. Listen to this.
When you see somebody who says something in an email that suggests, there's one email I read, and it's been a little while ago, but it was talking about, one person sent an email to Jeffrey Epstein saying, oh, there were some really nice, pizzas and grape sodas or something like that. And I remember it sounded like the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, but here it was in, an email from a guy. And my reaction to that was, we should absolutely investigate that person, okay? And, you remind me, I'm going to follow up on that to see whether we've investigated that person because we should. We absolutely should. When you see evidence of sexual assault, sexual misconduct, regardless of whether you're powerful or not, in fact, you should probably investigate it more.
Totally agree with that. It would be nice to investigate. I hope the Vice President does follow up and see if any investigations taken place, because so far no investigations on the Epstein files have taken place from the Justice Department at all. And see, this is part of the problem again, because what you just saw there at the Turning Point USA event, that was the Republicans' home field just a year ago. In fact, just a year ago, that place would have been packed. Now, it's a pretty small crowd. Protesters are drowning out a lot of the people. And again, look at this video. It's just not what it once was. In fact, it speaks to what's happening to Turning Point USA since the death of Charlie Kirk. Obviously, after his death, the organization shifted pretty dramatically. Now you have Erika Kirk, his widow, running the show. By the way, she didn't even attend the event because of what she called security concerns. You got to think about that for a minute, though, because the Vice President of the United States is there with the Secret Service. So you would think if anyone's in danger, it would be him, and if any place is secure, it would be one with the Secret Service there. Also, Erika Kirk raised like $250 million since taking over. Pretty sure she can afford security. Listen, overall, the optics here are really bad. And it feels like something much bigger is going on. See, this part, it's a theory, but I think it's right, is one that people are starting to talk about. Before he died, Charlie Kirk was getting more critical of the establishment, more critical of the deep state, even more critical of Israel, and then he's killed. And then the organization that he ran so successfully and made into such a powerhouse in the last election moves in the opposite direction of most everything he stood for. They align with more of the same neocons in Washington that he was actually pushing back against. And now the base seems to be turning on them. Look at this. New polls say Gen Z, the very group that Charlie Kirk again mobilized in 2024, is fast drifting away from the Republican Party. And Democrats are opening up large leads heading into the midterms. And not even because Gen Z necessarily wants those Democrats, they're just furious with Republicans. It's the exact same audience that Turning Point built its brand on. And that's the exact thing that they did. They swayed elections. So what happens when you lose that critical mass of Gen Z voters? Well, I think we saw some of it last night. You get small crowds, you get hecklers, and you get a message that just isn't resonating. Doesn't matter how you spin it here. Turning Point is going downhill. And if this trend continues, in 5 years, you'll have to ask the question, will Turning Point even still be around?
Now, obviously, some of that sounded a little bit anti-Semitic.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Can't say that stuff. Don't slander Charlie Kirk by saying that he was anti-Semitic. You can't say that. And everything says they use Sumerian technology to clone him. That's Charlie Charlie Kirk. Carly Kirk. Let's do this for Charlie, man. I don't want them to slander him.
Tonight talking about what just...
Okay. So look, man. I think this is actually pretty significant. I think that this is pretty bad. This is pretty bad for TPUSA, which was one of the most effective fundraising organizations on the whole planet. And it's gone. And I have to say, because since this is Kirk Watch, this is the end result. But I do think there was a moment, besides the ones that we've mentioned on the channel before, that really turned people off to Erika Kirk. And this one, it's going to sound, it's very Baudralardian, but Charlie Kirk achieved saint's status in the Republican arena, I guess. Not with Donald Trump. Donald Trump didn't really give a shit, regardless. But, however, there was this attempt to give Erika the same sense of protectiveness, of holiness. And the person who forced this contradiction was actually a African-American comedian by the name of Drewski a few weeks ago. And when this happened, everyone that was angry at it looked a fool. Because these are people that had turned against Erika Kirk before, being angry that a black man was making fun of her. And I thought this was really silly. And let's watch it, okay? It's very funny. It's actually very good. Let's watch Drewski. I actually really like Drewski. I think it's pretty funny. How you doing, Cinead? They're both awful. I don't speak ill of the dead. I didn't agree with Charlie in life, but, if you're new here, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Subscribing is literally free, and it helps the channel grow a lot. Also, consider joining the Patreon, okay? Let's see the skit that Drewski did. I think this is very funny. I'm not even kidding.
Get on your feet!
So this is Drewski doing whiteface.
Raging in Iran.
We're praying for all the soldiers and troops.
That's great that you're praying, but
how about all the kids that died when the USA hit the towers?
It broke my heart. That is the
In what ways have you grown closer to Jesus?
I serve a righteous God. And that is why we say our prayers. And we are all his children. But when I say children, I mean like the holy, blessed Trinity, which is why I hold the Bible. Sweet cream foam chai ice matcha. And Bella will have all organic pop cup. Organic? Yes, everything organic. Oh, say does that star spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free.
4, 3, 7. Are you good? 4, 3, 2. Hold your chest lifted. We're gonna lift.
We have to protect all men in America, especially all white men in America. Those are the boys that we care about in this country. America is built on their backs. Yes. Because they are the ones who mattered most.
Now, obviously, this was very funny. I thought it was very funny myself, personally. Okay? And people were saying that this is not good. I think it's sensational.
Sensational.
It's absolutely sensational. They were saying that this is wrong because... Let me actually pull this up, man, if I can. This is real Baudrillardian. Soldier guarding Christ. The problem is that Erika Kirk got angry at him, at Drewski, because they said that she couldn't do this, that this was not appropriate, okay? And he said, hey, man, look, I'm just making a skit. If you see yourself in my skit, then that's a you problem, But obviously he's trolling. Who else is this? This has to be Erika Kirk. And a lot of conservatives were out there saying, they say we can't do blackface, but they can do whiteface. Ugh.
Say the N word. Go on.
I mean, brother, listen, I grew up in a French school. This was a public school, not a fancy pants school, French school, but it was French. And the French really don't have an issue with blackface. I think nowadays they've adopted the American view on it because it was forced on them through America. I've never really seen the problem with it either way. I think it's just kind of, it's not something I would do personally, not because of any moral reason. I just don't think it's particularly funny. Like, what blackface am I going to do? I'm going to dress up as who? As Malcolm X? I don't really see it. But I don't see a problem with this in either direction. I think it's pretty ridiculous. I remember when that started in 2015, they were like, blackface is bad because it's a minstrel show. And I was like, but what does that have to do with blackface now? Because when I was a kid, Robert Downey Jr. was doing blackface in Tropic Thunder, and that shit was hilarious. It was very funny. So, they were saying, like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't say that, okay? And the reality is that this attempt, you saw it all over Twitter, bro. People were like, you can't do this to Erika Kirk. She's a good woman. It reminded me a lot of this picture. This was a few years ago in Romania. Show this to you here. This is the Romanian gendarmerie guarding a icon of Christ, okay? And this was peak Baudrillardianism, okay? This was a few years ago. And the reason that this is so Baudrillardian is this. I'm a postmodern Catholic, as I've said before. And what that means is that if you destroy an icon of Christ, a statue of Christ, if you destroyed the Pietà, I would not be angry at you, actually. I wouldn't be angry at you on religious grounds. I wouldn't be angry at you. Maybe I'd be a little annoyed in terms of historical grounds. But I've seen the Pietà before, in St. Peter's chapel. I forget what it's called, in the Vatican. This image here really shows you what happens with time, and from a Baudrillardian framework, okay? In time, as the sign becomes more real, more hyper real than the original thing, the symbol is more important than the real thing, we attach a meaning to things that are actually completely independent to that thing itself. And that sounds counterintuitive, but it's really not. Because think about it. If you love Christ, what the hell do you care if they burn this painting? You actually don't, because Christ is everywhere. Christ is in the Pope. Christ is in the church. He is everywhere. And yes, J-Boss says, sign more important than the referent. Exactly. When you have to send people to protect the sign, in fact, what you're doing is killing the sign. You're killing the importance of the real thing, baby. Because this is ridiculous. You are guarding something to preserve religiosity, to preserve Christ. Christ does not concern himself with paintings of him. He is not of this world. He is of another world. He was only here for a brief moment, for 33 years. But he's always with us. And if you ascribe more meaning to the symbol, to something that is not the person, that is not the actual thing, then in some ways you are actually doing idol worship. You are doing idol worship, and that is, I'm not judging it. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad, but it's just fucking silly. And anyone who thinks about it for 5 minutes, thank you, J-Boss, this is so damn silly. Like, it's silly. Christ doesn't concern himself with this. It's like, I remember back in the day when Extinction Rebellion was destroying paintings in museums in Europe to protest climate change. I'm not saying whether that was good or bad, but these people that were so angry that were saying, you can't splash paint on the Mona Lisa. That is part of humanity. We have the Mona Lisa scanned. We have it everywhere. The Mona Lisa is ubiquitous. You can see it digitally. You can see it everywhere you want. Someone could do a perfect replica of the Mona Lisa, actually. Perfect. I'm sure AI could do the same brushstrokes that Da Vinci did. It's not like Monet. Monet, if you see a Monet in person, it actually looks completely different to the digital. But the Mona Lisa looks exactly like the digital copy. You could have recreated. Oh, it's not the same thing. Why not? Forged art pieces get sold all the time. And the people who buy them actually don't even contest them because it's more valuable if it's not considered a forgery. They don't want to lose that investment. We are chasing after things. When you get mad at the Extinction Rebellion person who's dumping paint on the Mona Lisa on the basis of now you have removed the Mona Lisa from this world, that's silly. The Mona Lisa will always be here. The Mona Lisa is more important, actually, than its actual physical presence. The Mona Lisa is a symbol of the Renaissance. It lives in our minds. We will never forget it. Now, you can always get angry on historical grounds or like selfishly, I don't like, I've said it before, I don't like when they remove monuments and stuff like that because I've always wanted to see a lot of monuments, One of the things that I regret is not going to Cuba, which might go down one of these days in its communist state because I would have liked to see it in that period. But whatever, I missed out on it, right? But it's just not this. You can't be angry on this level. You have to be angry on another level if you're going to be angry at all. You have to be like, it can't be this way because I wanted to see it. And that's selfish and that's fine. But just say that. That's what bothers me. I wanted to see it in person. I wanted to experience it. That is not nihilistic. That is actually so human. That is so real. I remember when Notre Dame burned down, I had a friend that was like, I wanted to see it. Fuck. They weren't like, oh, you know, it's the religious significance. They were saying, fuck, I wish I had seen it. I was like, that's good. That's not nihilistic. You wanted to see it. I saw it, thankfully, before it happened. But that's what you should be angry about, if anything. Ephra says, do you think the definition of what God is manipulated to serve a certain purpose that fits X group or group worldview? Is God moldable to a fit narrative? The concept of God, I really haven't... I've really used Baudrillardianism to analyze Christ, but the concept of God itself, I haven't really gone into. I've done it superficially, and I'm sure that's true, Ephra, because one of the reasons that I really admire Muhammad in a lot of ways, not being a Muslim or anything, is not particularly for his religious prescriptions. It's actually more as a jurist and as a nation builder. Muhammad was a man who actually, in Baudrillardian terms, tried to bring the world back to the real. And that's why the Islamic world is struggling right now with postmodernity. Except with Mohammed bin Salman, he's embracing it pretty evenly. But Muhammad was able to say, listen, the Bible and the Torah have been corrupted, and I'm going to bring them closer to the real thing. You can agree or disagree with that. And not only that, I'm going to create systems for you to be able to build civilizations. And it actually did work. It built a lot of kingdoms, a lot of caliphates. So yes, the concept of God in that sense, but I'm not sure if, using Allah is the right way of looking at it, but a clever jurist, a smart man, a person who wants to action something in the world can use things to do things with it that deal with God. But I'm not going to comment on God. I'll do research on that effort. That's actually worth analyzing. I think that's very good. And J Boss says, I'm glad J Boss said, I'm sure perfect replicas of Mona Lisa have been sold pretending to be the real one. Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Sinead. I like Sinead O'Connor, dude. Despite everything. Go to Ireland. We have Newgrange. 5,000 years old Americans don't have reverence for your history because you have none. I mean, that's possible. It's a new world perspective, but Baudrillard was from the old world and he was able to see this. But yes, I think Europeans, the thing is, I'm not even sure that's true, Sinead. I actually like the European approach to history because I think that Europeans say that to themselves, but in reality, they act very different. I remember the first time I was in Milan, I was with an Italian friend and I was like, brother, this city looks like shit. Why did you guys destroy it? Milan is one of the ugliest cities in the world. In reference to other beautiful cities in Italy, like Rome or Parma or, the reason it's like that is because of La Guerra, because of the war, because they destroyed the whole city and they rebuilt it. But what my friend said is he said, brother, it was a war and that's what happened. He was very matter of fact about it. He wasn't angry about it. And I was like, am I more angry about a Milan that I never knew than an Italian who's telling me, not even chauvinistically, he's just saying it was a war. It happened. Things happened and we rebuilt it and now it's different. And that's it. We have to accept things. I actually think that's more reverent of history than to preserve it. When you are preserving history, this is my problem with preservation societies. You are doing an implicit admission that there is nothing more to hope for, that things cannot get better. Because you're saying we need to preserve this because we are not confident in our ability to make beautiful things in the future. Effort says, manipulate the concept, but don't discredit their faith. Do you think there's people really believe in God? Do you mean, I'm not trying to discredit Islam. I would never do that. I think that would be so. I don't know that's what the impression I gave Effort. I'm not discrediting it. I'm just saying that I put value. There's a relief of Muhammad on the Supreme Court. And we used to have a statue of Muhammad in New York. The relief, they're trying to get it covered up every couple of years. But the Anglo world before 40 years ago used to really admire Muhammad the jurist. They were like, this guy was a genius. He created a perfect legal system for a people. So I'm not trying to discredit him or anything. Thank you, J-Boss. I appreciate it. All right. And the Vatican, Ephra, yeah, it is a beautiful place. I really do enjoy going to the Vatican. Whenever I'm in Italy, I go to the Vatican. whenever I'm in Rome. The Vatican is a really nice place. Most beautiful places in Italy, though, I think the Vatican is up there, absolutely. The Vatican, Parma is very beautiful. Milan is beautiful in its own way, has its own charm. But yes, this is all to say that I think Drewski forced conservatives into this, where they were trying to protect this rather than the organization, TPUSA. They were trying to protect the idea of Charlie Kirk, the idea of Erika Kirk. And in doing so, you let go of the thing that was actually important. You detached it. It doesn't make sense. And you let that go to waste in favor of attacking a comedian. It's just me. We're over time, but let's do a little Kirk watch just on the meme side. Because at the end of the day, the people who really loved Charlie were they're the libs, dude. The libs, the people who hated him in life. The people who hated him in life are the ones who have shown the most love by keeping him alive in this ethereal realm. Let's watch here.
And I need you, and I miss you, and now I wonder.
You see, while the conservatives were getting angry at this, the left was using this symbol to have even more fun. This was more respectful to Erika Kirk. This is a more respectful defense than to get offended. This is light. It's lighthearted. Charlie Kirk is now interacting with a parody of his wife on Sora AI. This is leaning into the hyper real as opposed to trying to fight for the real, which isn't there. This is how you win. This is how you win. Let's continue. There's some... No. That's for Jeff Watch. Let's see. We have Spider Kirk. This is a great one here.
Spider-Man's real. Spider-Man's real name. Spider-Man's name is Charlie Kirk. What the
Imagine, I mean, you couldn't pay for this. Like, this is something, it's silly, but Charlie Kirk gets to occupy the role of Tobey Maguire in Death. Tobey Maguire had to bust his ass to be an actor. And Charlie Kirk, through Death and people's ironic detachment, was able to achieve that incredibly quickly. It's really something, man. Oh, we'll save this. This is another great one here. This is great.
Let's party like it's 2067.
Cyberpunk 2067. He got to live in a video game. And brother, you're not going to get this treatment. If funeral homes were smart, they would offer this package. There has to be a funeral home that says, when your loved one dies, we will make sure they go viral in AI memes. And they will have staying power like that. That is something that is worth purchasing more than a coffin, a gravestone, a cremation. This is worth purchasing. This is when people really start to exist in this realm. Like this. Great stuff. Some funeral home. If you heard that and you're a funeral home, I better get some credit. I better get a royalty. Okay? Let's watch. Jeffrey Epstein, another one that's living this fantasy now as well. This one here, a little bit of Jeff Watch as well.
Hola amigo, he escuchado que no te comes todos tus vegetales y además has bajado mucho de calificaciones. No te invitaré a mi isla.
In Spanish, Jeffrey Epstein says, hello, son. I heard you haven't been eating your vegetables and your grades aren't very good, so I'm not going to invite you to the island. And I think in some ways, I remember as a kid, in Hispanic culture, it's not the boogeyman, it's el coco. You know, you don't eat your vegetables, el coco is going to show up and eat you, the coconut. I think that we're not far off from Zoomer parents telling their kids, hey, you don't eat your vegetables, Jeffrey Epstein's going to show up. And he's going to live on as an urban legend in the most amazing way. And for our last one here, let's watch a little bit of football edit here. And look at this. Stephen Hawking, very funny. But a man who would have never been on a soccer field in life, brought to one in death. love this one here, the warm up. All right, fellas, that's the end of the show. I see here, J-Boss says, vegetables are a great example of hyperreality since they are nutritionally empty in reality. You know what's crazy, J-Boss, is that over time, I've really noticed that a lot of these old wives' tales, I didn't know this. When I was a kid, I was told that caffeine stunts your growth. That's not true. That was a hyper-real myth. You know, I learned this from Eric Weinstein. One of the most real is when you're a kid, they tell you that porcupines throw their quills. So don't get close to porcupines, because they will like shoot their quills at you. That's not true. The reason they tell that to children and people repeat it to their children with ignorance is because if a porcupine's quill gets in your hand, the design that God gave the porcupine quill means that it will not stop. It will actually keep going deeper and deeper and can kill you. It will come out the other side of your hand. It will go through bone. That's why they tell children that a lot of the old wives' tales are hyperreality taken to the extreme. And they were useful, and they are useful because at the end of the day, as the great Stephen Miller says, the function of a system is what it does. And if it keeps children away from getting injured, and if it gets children to fill up on fiber with, not nutrients, but fiber, vegetables do have fiber, then their digestive tract is better and they don't get stung by a porcupine. All right, everyone. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Glad to see we got some new people. Yes, useful hyperreality. Dude, hyperreality is always useful. Always use hyperreality to your favor. Always use it to your favor, man. Cody Wilson's the one who really taught me that. Look up Cody Wilson if you want to learn. He's actually the one that years ago, I was really big into the 3D printed gun stuff, and I was like, yo, this Cody Wilson guy, and he's the one who turned me on to Baudrillard along with Thaddeus Russell. So with that, everyone, if you're new here, like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Also, don't fear to join the Patreon. The Patreon is $5 or $20 a month, whatever you'd like. You can DM me on there. You'll get in the exclusive voice channel of the Discord where we can voice chat, or you can just DM me on Patreon and I'll respond. I might be a little late, but I will respond. I appreciate everyone tuning in. That helps the channel grow a lot. Thank you again, Robert Malloy, for the super chat. And I will see you guys tomorrow.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye. Change the world. My final message. Goodbye. Change the world. My final message. Goodbye. Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.